We are now ready to work on our first graded 5-point problem. All problems are located in the Excel application book. A picture of the book is shown on your screen. Are you ready to embark on the next part of our journey? I sure am. I don't know about you, but those lessons in the QuickBook were getting a little monotonous and boring. You should be in the Excel applications book and turn to section 1 problem found on pages 1 to 11 of your text. In these first sets of 5-point graded problems, you will experience what a book problem looks like. The difference in these problems is that the author gives you the answer and describes it in great detail. He describes every single movement, step, and data entry that's needed to come up with a solution. That's the reason they are only worth 5 points. To begin this section problem, open the file name that is located on the top of the problem on page 2 in parentheses. This file is called Estimator. Note that the file name for all problems in this book is always noted in parentheses at the top of the directions. Open the Estimator file now from your Excel program. Let's read the problem together. I am reading from the problem data paragraph on page 2 of your applications book. New Age Fuels is interested in estimating its net income for each of the next 5 months. It appears that January sales will be $100,000, and the company is hopeful that sales will increase by 2% per month. Selling expenses are 60% of each month's sales, and general expenses average $19,000 each month. Now let's read the requirements. Requirement number 1 on page 2 reads as follows. You have been asked by New Age Fuels to provide net income projections for each of the next 5 months. Review the worksheet estimator that follows the requirements. Here is my note to many of you. Many of you could complete this problem without reading the detailed explanations, depending on your level of Excel and accounting experience. If that's the case, go ahead and complete the assignment. Make sure you compare your work to the answers and pictures of spreadsheets given in your text. If you are new to the Excel program or need a little refresher on your accounting knowledge, then keep reading through the assignments and completing the steps as shown. I will start you off by demonstrating the first few formulas. With the Estimator program open, look at Formula 1 in cell B15. To enter the January sales, put a cell reference in that cell that references the January sales from the data section. Do not type in the number 100,000. Instead, enter a formula. You can either enter it manually by typing in an equal sign and then entering cell D7, or you can use the point and click technique, which I personally like. Go to the cell where Formula 1 is requested and click on it. In this case, cell B15. Type an equal sign and go click the location where the January sales are located in cell D7. Press enter, and you will notice that the 100,000 appears in the cell. If you don't know how to do this, the author will describe each step in detail. This first step is described in detail on page 5 of your text. Let's go to work on the second formula now. Formula 2 is needed to compute the February sales. Since the author told us that sales are expected to increase by 2% a month, we need to put a formula in the cell that will make that happen. Click on cell C15 and think of a way to increase the January sales by 2%. One way to accomplish this would be to take the previous month's sales in cell B15 and increase them by 2%. So one suggested solution would look like this: equals, click on B15 plus the increase of B15 times the 2% growth rate located in cell D8. Press enter, and we have the 102,000 that we were looking for. Again, take a look at the cell that was entered in the formula bar. Notice how it contains no numbers, but instead contains cell references. Notice that this isn't the only solution. There are a number of ways to solve this. The author gives you several acceptable answers on page 5 of your workbook. Continue working on the formulas until you have a solution that looks like the picture on page 7. After you complete the solution for this original data, your author will give you 2 other options to test your template. These options are described at the start of the problem on page 2. One is referred to as option A and the other is referred to as option B. Make sure you save the files as indicated. You will be submitting this problem in its entirety with your first quiz. This leads me to my next point. We need to put headers on all problems. This will make your life easier when collecting your work and my life easier when grading your work. Please note that you have a detailed turn-in sheet located within your curriculum. To make both of our lives easier, I am requesting that you put headers on all problems. I will demonstrate how to insert a header next. In your headers, you should use the 3-part customize header as we will demonstrate. In my version of Excel, to put a header in, I go to the Insert tab. Then I choose Header and Footer. Then I choose the 3-part custom header. Once you click the custom header, you're going to put your name on the left-hand side, the file name in the middle. Here is a suggested file name, Estimator or Sample1, and some type of a description on the right-hand side. I would suggest you use the turn-in sheet and look at the things that are supposed to be turned in and use that to guide you. Once you have your header, you may notice that it's all scrunched up at the top. To fix that, change the margin. Move the margin down by about 1/2 inch and you will get a nice looking printout as shown. Continue to work on the problems to completion. Make sure that you have all the printouts required on the turn-in sheet. Also be certain that you have answered the book questions. The answers to your book questions should be placed on the top of your printout. For example, your author asks you to write down the net incomes from option A and B at the bottom of page 2. He then asks you to make a recommendation. So it would be a good idea to develop your answers and then check them out against his. In this problem, there are several questions to be answered. They are located on pages 2 and 3. As always, if you have any questions, contact me. I am here to help. I look forward to reading your updates. As always, they are due by Sunday at midnight. When sending emails, please follow the directions you were given in the written orientation instructions. Each email needs to include your last name, the class you are in, and an appropriate subject. For example, if I were sending an email to my professor, the subject line would read Johnson, Accounting 133 Online Weekly Update. When you have completed the Section 1 problem, go ahead and start the Section 2 problem. As always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me for assistance.